This is a kindergarten language arts lesson for speaking and listening skills. The title is Listening to a Poem, Little Miss Muffet. So the bell ringer activity to get the lesson started is a listen and draw activity. Every student in the class will receive this card as a creative response poll, and then the teacher will select one student volunteer who will receive this card. Only that student will receive this card. So that specific student is going to explain step-by-step directions to help their classmates draw this picture of a spider. The rest of the class is going to listen to the directions and draw the picture that's being described. So they could do that right here on this card, but if they need more space, they can do it on a piece of paper outside of ClassFlow and then use the camera tool to take a picture of their drawing and submit their poll. After all the poll responses have been submitted, the teacher can pull everything up and review them, share them with the class, and then go back to the student who has this card and display this card on the board so that the rest of the class can see what the picture was. Then the teacher can pull the tab to ask this question: why is listening important? And then, of course, have a discussion and see what the students have to say, and then present the objective for the lesson, which is, we will be able to listen to a poem that is read aloud and show that we understand the poem by asking and answering questions. So let's go down to the beginning of the lesson here, of the instruction and practice section. So first we're going to get some background knowledge. Put on your listening ears. If your friend saw a spider and made this sound, how would you think they feel about spiders? So obviously it's a scream. The students can describe that their friend might feel scared, or obviously they don't like spiders. So this card will be sent as a word seed response poll, and the students can respond. And if they can't do a word seed poll because that requires typing, then they can just discuss it. The next card is more background knowledge. So this just presents some facts about spiders, and then some vocabulary pull tabs on the side. And on the student card, the students are going to receive a multiple choice poll. So it says, today we are going to listen to a poem about a little girl and a spider. How do you think the girl will feel about the spider? So they just talked about how spiders might make some of their friends feel. Now they're going to make a prediction about how the girl in the poem might feel. Okay, now we're going to move on to actually reading the poem. So there's 3 reads during this lesson. On the first read, they're just going to listen to the poem read aloud, and then they're going to work with a partner to do a think, pair, share. So for this first part, they're just doing the think. Listen to the poem. What do you imagine as you listen? So I'll just play a part.
Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey.
Okay, so they're going to listen to the poem. If the teacher feels like the class needs tips for listening skills, there is a card on the student card that can be sent out to the class just to review listening skills. So they're going to listen to the poem and just imagine what picture they're coming up with as they are listening. The next card is the pair part of the think, pair, share. So now they're going to discuss the poem with a partner. What do they imagine as they listen? So the same thing, they're going to listen to the poem again, and then they're going to talk about it with their partner. What did their partner imagine? And once again, if they need tips for partner work, there's also tips for partner work. And then we're going to move to the third card here, which is the share portion of the think, pair, share. Work with your partner to draw a picture of the poem. Use the camera tool to share with the class. So they're going to listen to the poem again, and as they're listening, they're going to work with their partner to draw a picture outside of ClassFlow, and then they're going to use the camera tool in their device to take a picture and submit the poll. And as they present, they might need tips for speaking. So if the teacher feels like they need to review speaking skills, then there are some tips here for that. The second read of the poem is going to be a read aloud by the teacher. So the story or the poem is here on the card. The teacher can read aloud, and then there are vocabulary pull tabs to the side. And after they read, The student card will be sent to the students. It will also be displayed on the board, and the teacher will model filling out the graphic organizer while the students participate. They can copy down what the teacher writes, or they can draw pictures. It's kindergarten, so they can do whatever the teacher feels is best for their learning level. Okay, the third read is going to be another read of the poem. And this time we have a think about it question. Do you think Little Miss Muffet was silly to run away from the spider? Why or why not? So now we're getting into some critical thinking, kind of analyzing what happened a little bit. And then on the student card, they're going to actually get to do an activity here. Do you think Miss Muffet was silly to run away from the spider? So they're answering the question that was on the pull tab. And they're going to draw a picture to show how they would feel if a spider sat down beside them. This card will be sent as a creative response poll. So once all the responses have been returned to the teacher, then they can move on to the closure section. So the review in this closure section was your first prediction correct? After reading the poem, how do you think Miss Muffet feels about the spider? So now that they've read the poem and they've analyzed it, they can think back to that first question and they can see if their prediction was correct or not. And finally, at the end, we have an assessment, which we're going to look at from the student view here. So, question 1, Jada is listening to a book on tape. She feels sleepy and decides to put her head down while she is listening. Jada is showing how to be a good listener, true or false. So a lot of the questions here are going to be referencing listening and speaking skills, and then some of the questions are also going to be referencing the poem. So we're going to select false. Okay, next question. Alberto is listening to Sarah present her journal to the class. Over the weekend, she went to an amusement park. He wonders which ride she rode while she was there, so he raises his hand to ask a question. Alberto is showing how to be a good listener, true or false. Okay, and so we get the gist of it. And after the assessment is done, the lesson is complete.